Hey, it's me, Spendy, and you're watching Spendy XP, my channel where I do my streaming and my other side content. And Kirby Air Riders is looking really good. So I've been following Kirby Air Riders fairly closely, finding fun ways to enjoy the directs by making a nice cup of coffee and really sitting down and paying attention to everything they're showing us. Barring some of the information they've been releasing on the other Nintendo channels, I know they like to spread some stuff across them, which is kind of annoying for us trying to find all the stuff we can. But I'm a big fan of Kirby. After all, I was born in the same year that the first Kirby game came out in 1992. That's right, Ant Dude, you're not the only one that's a fan of Kirby born in the same year. And I've enjoyed most of the Kirby games that have been released in the series' entirety. And the directs have really given us a lot to chew on when it comes to knowing what's in the game. And recently we've been able to play a little bit of it with the global online test. So as a massive fan of the series, what was the demo like? So there was 4 main sections to the global test ride, that being lessons, air ride, city trial, and paddock, and you could access the lessons early and learn more details about how the gameplay works. And I wish I did that. I kind of started doing that when the time frame started. I was a little bit late to it, trying to get my stream going. And then I'm like, no, I want to check out the lessons because I want to learn all the little details that you'd want to know to be good at playing the online. And I'm glad I did. There was a couple of little tricks you could do, like stealing another person's air ride machine when it was broken down more. Like if you damaged somebody else enough, you could just straight up steal their machine. So that was a crazy thing to know, and there was a couple other things like that. But after the lessons section, I got to try playing the air ride mode, just the regular racing, and it was just 3 of the races, but that was offline. So that was kind of annoying. I guess they were really just trying to test out the online capabilities for the city trial game mode, and that paddock, it's like a little lobby you can set up to invite your friends to. There was also a little taste of the visual effects options and what you could experience with that, which I think is amazing. Accessibility options are needed in video games more and more these days. I mean, they've always been needed, but I can't believe that this is one of the only AAA kart racers that's doing as much as this game is doing. Sakurai is my goat. But yeah, I gave Air Ride a small taste. It was good for me. I felt like it was as it should be. I wish I could have played against some real people. So City Trial is where the action was, and that was really good. I'm happy to say that it's definitely a step above the original City Trial. One thing I will say right off the bat, in its scope and presentation, for some reason, the buildings in the original City Trial feel larger. I was just playing it recently, and you can kind of feel the buildings in the city area really towering over you. And the buildings in this area seemed a little more, I don't know, dollhouse-like or bite-sized, but they were cooler because you could actually go inside them and travel up them. And I don't know why that wasn't the case in the first game, but I guess the first game was done in a super crunched amount of time, so we won't worry about that. But the city trial was amazing. You choose your rider, which has their own inherent stats and their own special ability if you charge the meter up, and that's going to change how the game is played. And I didn't realize exactly how much that would. I played as a few different characters, and I really felt kind of the weight and the speed of playing as DDD versus the lightness of a character like Cappy, that mushroom character. And we played as Waddle Doo and Gooey as well, and they all had their really unique feels to them, depending on the stats you would like to start with, sort of. The one thing that was interesting is the game starts and your compact star feels way slower than the original. Like you need to scramble to a new machine right away. Whereas in the first game, I felt like you could just stick it out with the compact star for as long as you needed to because it had a lot of good control. Whereas switching to certain machines, you'd start to slide around a little bit and not have as fine-tuned control to line yourself up with those power-ups you're trying to pick up, which is what it's all about, trying to get your vehicle stronger by picking up these power-ups. So that was interesting, and I noticed a lot of one of my favorite air ride machines, the wheelie scooter. And it's a tiny, super agile, easy to control machine with tons of acceleration. So you could just hop on that guy. I saw them everywhere. You could grab one easily, and then it made it a lot easier to grab all of your little power-ups and upgrades. And I thought that maybe that was baked into the game. Like, they wanted you to be able to get a machine like that, and then you could run around and pick up all your power-ups and try to find the machine you actually want, maybe within the last minute, or if you're pushing it like the last 30 seconds or something, and then you could really have a good go at that final trial in a way that you want. But yeah, my experience with running around the world was amazing. I really loved all the new areas, trying to get a grasp on how the layout was for each section and how they all connected. I loved the events that were popping up, and I noticed that there was not every event showing up that they had advertised in the directs. I was looking for the legendary machine parts for the Dragoon and the Hydra. I was looking for those, and they didn't have them included in the demo, so I didn't get to try driving one of those. I found that it was way more power-ups than the original city trial, just everywhere. And by the time the 5 minutes was up, you were really just ripping around. You were going so fast, especially if you were on that wheelie scooter. You could turn on a dime, and if you had the reaction speed and the ability to understand what you were just flying past, you would be able to somehow control your vehicle into all these power-ups anyway. It was insane. And of course, at the end, once it's all over and the time runs out, they show you your stats. You can get an idea of what your machine is more capable of. I think in the gameplay, you could pause it and then take a look at your stats that way too while you were playing. Maybe that would help you decide which machine you wanted if you were coming across them still in the end game. But then after that, they would give you 4 options to choose from, 4 different events that maybe one of them would be a really good choice for you with your stats and your machine. And I did have an instance there where I had a certain build and a certain machine, and none of the events made sense to me. I was like, oh, I was really hoping for a race or something. And there was none. There was no drag race, there was no race. And I'm like, okay, so what am I gonna do? And the game recommends you a certain event. It might even recommend you 2, and it'll have it labeled right on there, flashing like, hey, this one is probably a better idea for you. And I thought that that was really awesome, that somebody could play that game and not be very good at video games and just be able to be guided along and still feel like they're making good choices. And they're not just like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing and what event should I do? And then they choose a random one and they're like, well, I lost and it's probably my fault and I don't understand. But no, they recommend you an event. And I thought that that was a really nice touch. And then on top of that, you choose the event that's recommended to you, and then somebody else or more than one person has a way better setup, and they just obliterate you during the game. I mean, not necessarily. If you're skilled enough, maybe you can work with it. But after my first round of City Trial, I started to feel like this game was really more amazing than I thought. Okay, that was excellent. That was good. I only played City Trial offline on the old game, and I was wondering what the online situation was going to be. And you're playing in a lobby with 16 people, and I'm thinking to myself, like, am I just gonna get absolutely decimated and feel awful and this is gonna be terrible? No, I played it, I had fun, and a couple of them I got first place surprisingly, and a few of them I was middle of the pack and maybe like 5th place or something, and it never felt bad. There are some online games you'll play, like I'll play Splatoon, and I love Splatoon. But I get so salty in a competitive game like that, whereas in this game, I was just having a blast trying to get my build going and trying to do well in an event. And an interesting thing to note about those events is you can choose one to do that nobody else who's playing in your lobby will have chosen. Besides you, you're the only one who chose that event, and you will win automatically without playing the event. And the game will ask you, like, you know, you built a good machine, did you want to play it anyway with some CPUs? Or do you just want to move on to the next city trial? And of course I wanted to play this event because I think it was the air gliding one. You can glide as far as you can. And I had like 10 glide power-ups, and I had the wing star. I was ready to fly forever. and nobody was there. And so I still got to play it, and I still got to learn some cool features about it, like when you're flying and the game knows you're gonna fly forever and everybody else is done, it fast forwards the game for you so that it doesn't take forever. There's just so many little details like that in this game. It is so polished and beautiful. The game is gorgeous. I can't believe how crisp and beautiful it is. Everywhere you look, everything looks amazing and nothing seems out of place. The characters in the character select screen are looking amazing. They have the renders in there, and it's starting to make a ton of sense why people are just loving Rick the Hamster. He's been in the series ever since the second Kirby's Dream Land on the original Game Boy, and he's looking so cute. And then you races him, and his special meter charges up, and he's so powerful because he hops off the machine and he's just running full speed, smashing everything out of the way. If you try to do the spin attack by flicking the stick back and forth, he jumps so you can get over, and the jump is super high, so you can get over all those obstacles that you need to in the races, or even in City Trial, you could hop up somewhere super high. Yeah, those renders, they're inspiring. They make you want to try every character and really have a good time. But unfortunately, I didn't have a ton of time with the demo. I tried to schedule as much time as possible, but I had a lot of things going on that weekend. But I did get to try out the paddock, just the lobby, and see how that was, and it was really cool. You could run around, and there was a few things to do in there. If you had other people with you, I did not. But every single character has an awesome animation for running and for walking, and like a jog as well, and they all have little emotes you can do to tell people what you want to do when you're in the lobby, so that's amazing. It's just the detail I guess you would expect from a game directed by Sakurai. And this is also the animations you're going to see when you hop off your vehicle in City Trial and run over to a new one to hop onto, which they've updated the mechanics of. You can just hop from your machine to a new one just by holding the button ahead of time, which is really cool. For a little bit there, I hopped off, and just the running animation blew me away. I loved looking at it. They all have their own specific speed and their own jumps. They're all so original, and it'll really change up how you want to play the game. You might end up choosing a character that you didn't think you would play as much because of how they feel to move around and the stats that come with them. And along with my schedule, I was having friends over during one of the blocks there, and I got the game up for my friends to play while we were figuring out dinner. And so I went out to go pick up sushi for everybody, and they got to play it for a bit. And I got some footage here of them playing it, and it was just cool to see them trying it out and their reactions to the game, and just how good it was looking on my TV. And I'm just imagining playing this game multiplayer at my place when people come over in the future, and it's just seeming like a really fun game for parties. And sad to say, I was having the same feeling about Mario Kart World before I really got a good grasp of that game. And it's just never been a good game to play with the friends. It is not the best Mario Kart out there, unfortunately. And I'd rather go back and play Mario Kart 8 some more, which is so weird. But yeah, Kirby Air Riders is going to be the new party game at my house as soon as it's out. Now this begs the question for many of you that don't have a Switch 2, does this game make it worth it to buy a Switch 2? And I'm leaning towards saying like, yeah, this game is worth, 700 Canadian dollars or whatever it takes to get a Switch 2 in this game. This game is $99.99, by the way, Canadian. I can't really commit to that because it is such a unique flavor of game. I know what I'm getting into because I have played the old one so much, and even recently, and I know what I'm looking for with it. It's got the three main modes: the racing, the top-down racing, the city trial. They're adding the story mode. And then every one of those modes is going to have a big checkerboard of, it's like a to-do list almost. It gives you all these little things you can work towards, all these little time trials and little funny achievements you can work towards, and they give you unlockables. And I'm going to be doing that all day long and trying to figure out that new story. They have that new evil looking guy, and there's that big meteor thing that's crashed in a planet Popstar. I'm wondering what that's about. So the story mode is looking amazing to me. Sakurai said you can play it with every single character. That's crazy. So this game is for me. I'm a big fan of the series and we'll just get so much out of it. But if you're not a fan of Kirby, then no, this doesn't make it worth it to get a Switch 2. But if you're a fan of good games and you want to play an awesome game, you could go to somebody's house and try it out if you have that available to you and see if it's for you. I would really recommend it. It is so highly polished. It feels great to play. Everything is extremely snappy. I can't believe I forgot to mention that just in the regular racing. This game is so tight in how it feels to control. Was that wrong to say? It's really snappy. The controls only have 2 buttons and then the control stick. One button does everything and the other button uses your special ability and discards your copy ability if you have one. But when you're turning, you hold down one of the buttons to kind of slide, get a tighter turn, and charge up a boost. And when you get that boost, it snaps, man. It is so crazy how fast it feels. And every mechanic too. There's a trail of little stars that come out behind the racers ahead of you. And if you drive in that trail, you speed up so much. It is incredible how the game feels when you're behind. You're trying to catch up, and it is so much fun to fight to catch up. The person ahead of you really has to fight for their life to stay ahead. It is such a cool experience that way. And I have to say, it's unlike anything I've played. It's unlike the first Kirby Air Ride, and it's unlike any other kart racer that I've played. And I'm also a huge kart racer fan. I love kart racer games. I haven't really played much of the lower quality ones like the Shrek Kart Racer or the Garfield Kart Racing games or whatever. But of all the major kart racing games, this is the most polished one I have ever experienced. As that dude says, it's so easy to be a Kirby fan. You just get to enjoy excellent games all the time. And we have a lot more to see. I don't want to be naive and say that this game is going to be so super amazing definitively and objectively. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. Mario Kart World really bit me that way, so we will see. I don't want to get burned again. But as things stand, this is looking good. And I apologize if I'm just glazing the game and this is not what you wanted to hear. You're gonna have to go to somebody else. So if you don't have a Switch 2 and you want a little taste of the game, and you don't have any friends that have a Switch 2 and will be getting this game, I actually recommend emulating Kirby Air Ride on Dolphin and checking that out. I know it's a bit of a challenge to get into emulation for some people, but I think it's worth trying to do it and giving it a shot and see how that feels, because it is pretty close to this one. This one is balanced even more than the first one is. They've patched up a lot of the issues the first one had, which weren't really major issues anyway. Like, we all had a great time with the game. It was a niche crowd that played the game because not a lot of people really knew about it, that I knew anyway. That is a cool way to try it out, and then you can sort of have an idea. And that's how I felt about the Kirby Air Riders Global Test Ride. And just to reiterate, here's where I stream and do side content and ramble like this. But my main channel, SpendyVG, is where I make my more produced videos, gaming product reviews, emulation, stuff like that. So hopefully you would find something there that you like. And I appreciate you listening to me ramble about something I really like and that I'm hopeful for. And if you'd like to support me, I do have a Patreon, and that helps me continue to make content like this. So hopefully we'll catch you in the next one or a future stream. See you then. That's mine. Where am I? Dude, can I have that speed, please? Can I just drive slowly towards the speed? Frick, bro. Oh, special now. Yeah! Oh, dude. What? So when they're weakened, you can just jack their car? My brother! Crap, let's quit!
5, 4.
Oh, bro. I could have got there with some more time. No! Dude, 17 speed.